one another on the way. Make it much easier.
Just a little bit easier.
Say you just can't live that negative way. If you know what I mean, make way for the positive day.
Always have something.
Well, I just want
Up
to
your
say
sleeve.
that over the weekend, I reread Dreams from My Father. This is a very special book. The senator
Thank
has
you
written
so
two
much.
books, and you read this and you understand so much about him, and it's just a great read. So I've just sold a
I'm
lot
grateful.
of copies.
Thank you so much.
That's just how white folks will do you. It wasn't merely the cruelty involved. I was learning that black people could be mean and then some. It was a particular brand of arrogance, an obtuseness in otherwise sane people that brought forth our bitter laughter. It was as if whites didn't know they were being cruel in the first place, or at least thought you deserving of their scorn.
Just before you came out, maybe we shouldn't say this, but do we say?
Go say it,
we
say
thought
it.
you were very sexy looking.
Oh, I
Don't
see
you think so?
that.
Anyway, okay, enough of that. Okay, so here we go. Well, we've been talking, as you heard, in Hot Topics, and you've condemned the racist comments made by Reverend Wright, but you haven't disowned him. But when Don Imus made racist remarks about the Rutgers women basketball team, you said you thought he should lose his job, and you said, and I'm quoting, "There's nobody on my staff who would still be working for me if they made a comment like that about anybody or any ethnic group." What's the difference?
Yeah. Well, two things. One, Reverend Wright has retired, so he is no longer the pastor of the church. So let me put this in context. I joined this church when I was 27, 20 years ago, and everybody I think who knows Trinity United Church of Christ, which by the way is a 99% white denomination, the United Church of Christ. So this is one of the few African American congregations in the denomination. Will tell you, and people in Chicago will tell you, this is one of the most active, largest churches in the community. And Reverend Wright had a reputation, justifiably, for being one of the best preachers in the city. And so on and off during the course of these 20 years, I knew him. I joined the church and embraced my Christian faith at that church. I was married at that church. My children were baptized at that church. I never heard him say some of the things that I know that have upset people.
Afterward, in the parking lot, I sat in my car and thumbed through a silver brochure that I'd picked up in the reception area. It contained a set of guiding principles, a black value system, it said, that the congregation had adopted in 1979. At the top of the list was a commitment to God, who will give us the strength to give up prayerful pacifism and become black Christian activists, soldiers for black freedom and the dignity of all humankind. It is this world, a world where cruise ships throw away more food in a day than most residents of Port-au-Prince see in a year, where white folks' greed runs a world in need, apartheid in one hemisphere, apathy in another hemisphere. That's the world on which hope sits.
Now, keep in mind, he's preaching 3 times every Sunday, and for 30 years. And I'm not vetting my pastor. I didn't have a research team during the course of these 20 years. Go pull every sermon that he's given and see if there's something offensive that he said. So just to wrap up, the statements that were made, I think, were rightly offensive. I actually think that some of them were offensive less in terms of race and more in terms of their characterization of America. The church itself, though, is a wonderful, welcoming church, and if you guys went there on a Sunday, you would feel right at home. You would see people talking about Jesus and mercy and sin and family and how do we...
Forgiveness.
And forgiveness. And so all those things would be there.
And so it went, a meditation on a fallen world. While the boys next to me doodled on their church bulletin, Reverend Wright spoke of Sharpsville and Hiroshima, the callousness of policymakers in the White House and in the State House.
When in the interview yesterday, Governor Palin said that she was chosen by you. She said that she had no hesitation that she could be president of the United States if, God forbid, something happened. That she was chosen. Okay, I said that.
Say it again. Gotta go like this.
That she was chosen by you primarily to reform Washington, to reform the government. She kept using the word reform. You have been in Washington, Senator, for 22 years as a congressman and a senator. The Republicans have been in power for the last 8 years. So, and I can understand why the Democrats talk about reform. But who is it that Governor Palin is going to reform? You? The Senate? The Congress? The Republican Party?
That's a good line. Actually, you know, the Democrats have been in charge of both houses for the last 2 years. Seen any big improvement?
No, but
the point is,
we're not talking about economy. We're not talking about housing. She was chosen to reform the government.
Because that's what she's done. That's what she's done.
Who is? But you chose it just to
reform. The Republican
reform.
Party, the Democrat Party, even an independent. She'll reform all of Washington, just like she did by doing what she did in Alaska.
What is she going to reform specifically? Senator.
Well, first of all, earmark spending, which she vetoed $500 million worth in the state of Alaska.
She also took some earmark spending.
No, not as governor. She didn't. She vetoed. Well, look. The fact is that she was a reform governor. She took on a Republican governor of her own, incumbent governor of her own party, and defeated him. She sold the airplane. She fired the chef.
She sold the airplane at a loss.
She has a. She was very. Well, you wanted her to keep it?
No, I wanted her to at least get her money back.
It was an 80% cut in spending.
She chose it to reform.
The big point is she reformed government in Alaska. She freed Alaska, really for the first time.
What's the biggest reform?
You got to let me finish. You got to let me finish, okay? And that is that she took government out of the hands of the special interests and the oil companies and the old boy network and gave it back to the people of Alaska. That's a clear record of what she's accomplished.
What is she going to do in Washington?
And that's what we have to do in Washington. The same thing. Break the old boy network, the special interests that control our agenda in Washington, and like I have attempted to do and succeeded in some areas, because I have taken on my own party, I've taken on the Democrats, Republicans, my own president, and I've taken on the special interests, and I have not been elected Miss Congeniality every year.
Well, you used to be more like that, John. Why am I calling you John?
Shame on you.
You know, you used to be more of the maverick, then you sort of turned.
In what way?
Well, you became much more lockstep, I think, with your party, with George Bush's policies. I don't see the old John McCain, who used to really buck the system as much, because I can understand why. You want to get elected. But, you know...
I've been through this litany before when I say, okay, what specific area have I, quote, changed? Nobody can name it. I'm the same person that I always was. I'll be glad to have Whoopi do it. But the point is that I'm the same person, and I have the same principles, and I have the same issues, whether it be spending, whether it be climate change, whether it be the conduct of the war in Iraq, whether it be torture of prisoners, no matter what it is, and fighting excess and wasteful spending, I'm the same guy.
You know what? I have to just, one more thing. There are ads running from your campaign. One of them is saying that Obama, when he said you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, was talking about Sarah. There's another ad that says that Obama was interested in teaching sex education to kindergartners. Now, we know that those two ads are untrue. They're lies. And yet you, at the end of it, say, I approve these messages. Do you really approve them?
Actually, they are not lies. And have you seen some of the ads that are running against me?
By the way, you yourself said the same thing about putting lipstick on a pig. You yourself used the same expression.
When I was talking about a health care plan.
Yeah, but he talked about change. He wasn't talking about Sarah Palin.
Senator Obama chooses his words very carefully, okay? He shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have said it. He chooses his words very carefully. And this is a tough campaign. But I would be glad to come on this show with Senator Obama. I have asked Senator Obama to join me in town hall meetings all across America. I have requested it time after time.
That would be good for Sarah and Joe Biden, too.
That would be, yes, sure.
Well,
Live if you wanna live.